Hello and welcome to another group stage match or group stage day of the Global Littlewargame League 2024. Today we'll be going over Group B. This is what the group stages look like as of now. I'm sure you've seen it many times before. And once again, as a reminder, this is the map pool. It's going to be the ranked map pool along with Thieves' Isle. So yeah, let's hop straight into it. It's going to be Group B, and starting us off, it's going to be MrWinter. So MrWinter obviously is one of those players that hasn't actually played in a lot of events, or at least to my knowledge, but has been around in the community for a very long time. He's been around basically since forever. Maybe not, but you know, more or less a little bit of extrapolation here, exaggeration. But he's a monster on the ladder, but hasn't played very well or very recently. So this is someone who comes and goes more or less, and is someone who can be very scary if you go into a macro game, but perhaps his early game isn't as good. We'll see how he plays in Group B. The next player is going to be Joshers09, a very strong player. Played in Pro League Season 3 and 4 and did very well in both of them. In Season 3, had an excellent performance. Was picked relatively close to last. He was in the last round of draft picks. Won 2-0 versus Madurg, also 2-0 against Jossum, 2-0 against Gandhi, and then did lose 1-2 against Guinness and Yemi Blah Blah, but those players are some excellent players, so taking a map off of them is a great success. And then in Pro League Season 4, did win 2-0 versus Gyarados, but lost 0-2 versus Hydra. So either way, some very good results for Joshers. The next player is going to be ConsciouslyEating, someone who's also somewhat new, I guess a little bit more established than some of the other players, but has been around for a while. In the Paradise Series with myself, he teamed up with me. We won 3-2 versus MrWinter and Holy. In the scrap fight event, he's teamed up with Guinness. Did pretty well there. In the Praise Hearthstone tournament, placed 7th to 8th, which was pretty nice. Pro League Season 2 was in Team ItsJ. You know, I think he lost pretty much every game except for versus Sadocaster, but that was a long time ago. But yeah, so ConsciouslyEating is a little bit of a cheesy player, but you know, he can play macro sometimes as well, so just someone to watch out for sure, especially in a best of one. Next we have Holy, and Holy is a pretty solid player for sure. I've seen him play mostly Beasts, but apparently not when we look at some of the other games, 1v1 games that I've played. So so mostly plays team games or 2v2s from my knowledge, and then whenever he does, he likes to go upgrades, dragons, beasts, that sort of thing. But in 1v1s, he likes to play a little bit more of a diverse playstyle, so we'll see if that can translate into a win or a good result in Group B. Here are the initial matchups. It's going to be MrWinter versus Joshers09 in the first initial match, and then it's going to be Holy and ConsciouslyEating in the other one. So let's get things started with the first initial match. It's going to be MrWinter versus Joshers09. And I don't have the bans here, but they did decide to play on Xenos, so let's hop straight into that. So, spawning in the bottom left-hand side of Xenos, it's going to be Joshers09. Very solid player, does like to innovate a little bit, so I'm a big fan of that sort of play. And in the top right-hand side, it's going to be MrWinter. MrWinter obviously is very well known for some of his beast play, which is what he usually does. So that is something to be aware of. We have an early worker going across the map for MrWinter, potentially for a proxy, potentially for a scout. The fact that it's not going straight across the map, but going in a weird direction here at the top actually makes me think it's going to be a proxy. If you were scouting, you probably just want to go straight through the middle of the map, but that is not the case here. I think this is a little bit early, though. I don't think it's timed quite well. The house is only about halfway done. And I think with this worker, you don't want to proxy it too close, so there's no point in going like all the way over here. You generally want to proxy it like here. Yeah, so the worker is going to be a little bit too early, but not going to be a huge deal in my opinion. On the other side though, Joshua's not building a house just yet, is going to go for a castle first. I believe the actual optimal castle first is 9 workers instead of 10, but it's a very small difference, so no biggie here. The thing with castle first with 9 is you go for castle at 9 and you go for house at 9, and then you get another worker to get yourself back up to the cap. So the way it works is that you lose a little bit more income early on, but your building is actually faster. So your initial building, be it the den or the racks or whatever you want to get, is a little bit faster, which is why people generally like to go for that. But if Josh is going to go for a tower, yeah, okay. If you're going to go for a tower, I think this is the better play for sure. So Josh is known for this. He's done this in Pro League a couple times as well. He's done castle first into tower, and he generally likes to follow it up with a little bit of mech play. MrWinter going to come in and scout that. He's going to scout that castle first. Going to go for a little cheeky tower rush here. Josh, just knowing that the worker didn't quite come, is going to see this. Doesn't have enough, or he did have enough money to block that off. So that's definitely a mistake out of MrWinter. Could have built a house here to protect his own worker. There's that first wolf showing up, so a little bit of pressure for sure. Double tower coming out for Joshers in the main base and the natural. And this worker is going to try to mineral walk out, but it's too weak to continue building this tower, and that's going to have to be canceled. And yeah, this is actually going to look, it's looking like it's going to be a pretty nice hold. I do like this position. You do want to, okay, so the thing is, this actually has a ton of potential in my opinion, because you know that if you see this tower, I guess you didn't see the other tower though. Oh no, you did. Okay. If you see the double towers, you know that units aren't going to be coming out. So you could theoretically do something like instead of this additional den, probably go for like a workshop even and try to do some sort of catapult push sort of thing. That's definitely a potential, but MrWinter instead going to go for the additional den instead. Is going to be supply blocked at the same time, so a little bit of a supply block mistake there out of MrWinter. And I'd say Josh is doing pretty well. I would have preferred to get this house on this top side instead of at this bottom side, just because this is probably where all the units will be coming in, and you want to just be a little bit defensive on that side rather than here. Could have target fired these wolves to do a little bit more damage to the weakened ones, but that's okay, not a big deal. And Josh is going to go for a 2-den of his own. I don't think I agree with that, because you're going to be behind on wolves no matter what. I would prefer a different sort of approach. Maybe go to racks, maybe go to, I don't know, something else. I don't think that going to, saying, okay, I'll play the 2-den or the wolf battle here is a good idea. I just think you're going to be so far behind. Also, MrWinter going for a tower here, I also don't think this is going to do too much. Like, this is not threatening anything. It's not going to be able to hit any of these units. And it's just a waste of money in my opinion. I guess, okay, one thing to note is that actually the center of a unit, or a tower in this case, is actually the top left-hand side of a tower. So if it's a square, you know how if it's a 3x3, the center is going to be just the middle. Whereas if it's a 2x, like a 2 here, for vision, the center is going to be the top left. So that's just something to know. MrWinter going to try to come in and bust down this tower, but some good target fire out of Josh's here. I like that cue, but looks like there's a lot of wolves here. I like that this wolves den is reducing the amount of surface area. Does need to continue repairing that tower though. There we go. But I think this tower will eventually fall, and that is going to be potentially disastrous here. Which means Josh is going to be out of a natural base, and it's going to be a base down. Yeah, there we go. And Josh is forced to evacuate his main base, or his natural base, excuse me. Still has some wolves producing. Excuse me. Excuse me, a little bit of a sneeze there, but still has some wolves, but this is not going to be enough. This is why I said, like, there's no real point to just continuing to build these wolves and opting into the wolf fight, because you're going to be behind essentially the entire time. Was basically what I thought. MrWinter gonna try to expand off of that. I think that's a good choice, but it is a little bit delayed, seems like, because he is supply blocked as well. So I like that he brought another worker in though, just for the extra, because his first one died. I think that's a good idea here. Gonna go for that castle, and Josh is forced into a one base play, and with an inferior wolf count as well. So not the best start for sure. And not even a start. I'd say this is basically over, honestly. I think Josher's kind of... Okay, I guess the thing is that generally when people see, oh, you went for a tower in your main, a tower in your natural, they think, oh, okay, there's no way that I'm going to be able to break this. And they just kind of give up. And that's, I think, what Josher's mostly saw from opponents. And so that's what he expected. But in this case, MrWinter doubled down and said, okay, I don't care that you have a tower. I think I can still break you. And that eventually did turn out to be true. So a little bit of a missed, what's it called? A misread, in my opinion, you know. And I guess a good decision out of MrWinter here to continue to go for the attack, even though he was a little bit... even though the tower was up, and many players would have been like, nope, I don't think I'll do that, kind of thing. A little bit of wolf skirmishes here, so a little bit of a trade. But any trade is actually really good for MrWinter, as he does have his natural. Does need to transfer over some of the workers, though. Would like to see that. Ooh, gonna go for an animal testing lab this early on. I don't think that is a... I don't think that's gonna be a very good choice, in my opinion. I guess theoretically, if it does go into a whole bunch of wolves versus a whole bunch of wolves, you do want to have the upgrade advantage, and that would be excellent. But in this case, I feel like generally you want to get ahead in some other aspect in Beast versus Beast. The tech aspect, usually, whether that be going for snakes, as MrWinter is going for right now, or werewolves or dragons, something like that. And yeah, so... It looks like this is gonna be just MrWinter just running away with it. Josh is forced onto this 1 base 3 den sort of play. Ooh, this is an attempt to get out of there, but MrWinter quick to react and just grab all those wolves, prevent them from going across. And with that tower adding that added DPS, it looks like it's gonna be pretty much lights out here. Yeah. I feel like maybe he would have had a chance to go sneak around if it was this way, to the left-hand side, but instead tried to go for this little bit of a more direct approach and was caught lacking a little bit. So MrWinter able to take a good fight over there, trapping all those wolves. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It looks like the wolf count is still in favor of MrWinter by 4. As is the worker count. And we have, looks like, a workshop coming on the way for Joshers, and I'm not sure how this will work. I guess the idea is that he wants to take down this watchtower with a catapult, but you can't really afford that along with all of these wolves at the same time. MrWinter with that animal testing lab going for attack upgrades, which I think does make sense, especially if you are going for these snakes. Yeah, and things are looking just really excellent for MrWinter. Once again, I would have, like I said previously, I would have preferred to see some other tech rather than this animal testing lab. I think the animal testing lab is not the best tech, especially when you're going for just... Because dragons and werewolves are both very, very good in Beast versus Beast. So, yeah. Josh unfortunately doesn't have any eyes on the other side of the map. Probably likely, judging from the number of units, maybe he thinks this is still a 1 base all-in. But as we know, MrWinter does have that natural base over there. So this fight is going to be in favor of MrWinter just because of these snakes here. Just adding that range DPS that Joshers does not have with his units. He's also not getting the best surface area here because half of his wolves are not fighting here because he's pulling them back, but the rest of his wolves are away, and that looks like that's going to be just an absolute rout with the added DPS of the snakes here. We do have this first catapult coming out, but I think that's going to be a little bit too little too late. I think with this, you want to try to target down these snakes. This tower is going to finish, but I think that's also going to be promptly just taken down, or maybe even ignored. This catapult is going to try to escape to the safety of the tower, but there's no workers around. Actually, there are 2 workers that are being pulled. But that might be a little bit... Okay, it's starting to look like it might barely be a hold, but... No, not really, I guess. The tower's about to fall. All those wolves are going down. That catapult is dead as well. Good, you know, shift clicking with that tower to target down the snakes, but right now there's just too many wolves for MrWinter, and he's ahead of base, ahead in army, and just ahead in pretty much every aspect. That +1 attack also finishing in, kicking into that end of the fight there. So, yeah, I think... Joshers, I think, could have played this a little bit differently. Like, I'm just curious what would have happened if he, instead of going for wolves, if he had went for some other sort of tech, right? So, that's just, you know, something that I wish could have happened a little bit differently, potentially. Yeah, it looks like MrWinter gearing up for a 3rd base, potentially, with that worker. Has to wait a little bit, though. This catapult raining down fire onto this watchtower. I like that MrWinter is sending these wolves all the way around, especially because if you did see that first catapult, you might think, oh, maybe Catadros might be a potential option in the future. I would have liked to see maybe just going for an advanced workshop just in case. But MrWinter not going to go for that. Is just going to play it on her here. This tower is about to go down. One more shot will do it. There we go. And Joshers is looking to somehow regain control of and expand, but I don't know if that's going to be able to happen in the near future. We also got to think about the gold mine situation here. We're at 2K approximately right now, which is still quite a bit, but eventually it will run out. And he will be forced to take another base. MrWinter's castle is approximately, I'd say, what, 66%? 2/3 of the way done. And also, this is a very nice surround that is set up here by MrWinter. So, very nice, very nice. A little bit of a baiting move here out of Joshers, trying to bait his opponent's wolves. And this is a very good bait. It only baited like a portion of his army. And therefore, MrWinter took a little bit of a worse fight than he needed to. But here comes the big fight. Even with his catapult, I think this is going to be a little bit too much. It's just going to be a numbers game here. And there's just not enough wolves for Joshers. And he's going to be overrun with Wolf Snake. Yeah, this catapult trying to do as much as it can, but I think that's not going to be enough here. The Gatling gun falls, and these wolves are on top of the catapults, and that means that this game is going to come to an end. GG, well played is called, and that is the game. And that means that MrWinter will advance to the winner's match. And Joshers is going to head down to the loser's match. Very well played. We'll head into the next initial match of the group. It's going to be Holy versus Consciously Eating. And from what I know, they're both very familiar with each other. They play together a lot. They are, you know, they know each other's style very well. So I'd expect to see maybe some mind games, maybe some interesting stuff. And we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I do have the map selections for you guys here. And Holy was the first ban, took away Cursed Temple. And then Sylvan Charm, Thieves' Isle, Xanos, Ice Cold, Ravaged, and Silent Fjord. So those are the matches. Or not the matches, but the what's the word? The pick bans for these players here. And that is going to be the situation. I have a bit of a... Let me just give me a sec. I have a bit of a issue tech issue at the moment getting these files loaded in, so give me a sec. Apologies for the delay. There we go. All right, heading into Silent Fjord, spawning in the bottom left-hand side of the map. It's going to be Consciously Eating. And spawning in the top right-hand side of this map, it's Holy. All right, so like I said, these two players, they know each other pretty well. And I expect to see either something very, very unorthodox and, you know, out of the blue, or perhaps just trying to find a little bit of cutting corners and trying to find little victories here and there. Holy going to go for a little bit of a faster house here. I'm going to cut a worker for that. I guess you don't cut a worker, you just delay your worker a little bit. So anyways, we're interested to see what is going to go on this map. Like I said in the previous group stages, this map is very good for raiders, and that's something that we might potentially see. We'll see what Holy decides to do. It is going to go for a Wolf's Den. That is more or less to be expected. Holy generally does prefer playing that wolf, that beast style, going into dragons, that sort of thing. So we'll see if that's something he's going to play right now in this game against Consciously Eating. Consciously Eating going to put his barracks up at the front of the base. So this is, you know, there are pros and cons to this. One of them is that you get to have, I guess, immediate vision of this ramp. Right, so you have the vision without having to put a unit there, right? So that's very nice. You can also block off this this ramp a little bit, make it a little bit of a choke point. But at the same time, that also means that your building is a little bit exposed. Gonna go for a 2 racks. So, okay, interesting. It is a little bit exposed, and it's not going to be a part of the wall of that natural base. But yeah, we have a 2 racks out of Consciously Eating, so most likely we're gonna see some raiders. And this build is actually very good, especially against, like matchup-wise against what Holy's doing at the moment. It's going to be a 1 den. It looks like a destroy call build so far. 1 den into second house, into delayed castle. But yeah, generally, I'd say this build is much better for the Rax player because you just don't have enough wolves to deal with the double raider production of your opponent. So this is basically going to come down to, can Holy identify that it is a 2 Rax and how quickly he can do it, and what is his response going to be. So that's a very important tier. And the fact that these 2 Rax are at the top of the ramp in front over here, and the fact that they're both just very easy to scout. Oh, actually, that isn't even a ramp. So Holy knows now it's a 2 racks, right? So what is his response going to be? So far, I don't see anything as of yet. He needs to respond. I don't know what he's... So generally, I'd say you want to just place down a tower and play as safe as possible. Okay, we have another den. I'd say this is probably not the best decision. Because you're like 2 den versus 2 racks raider is hard enough of itself, but a delayed 2 den is even worse. So gonna bring 2 workers. That's probably for the tower. Good surround on this first raider though. That is consciously gonna flash away, but that was a little bit too late. Not even a little bit, a lot too late. Okay, that's gonna be another house. Where are those raiders? Okay, there they are. They're just on their way still. But so far, Holy did get a little bit of an advantage with that initial fight. But with these 2 raiders here, he needs to be a little bit more careful. Consciously Eating needs to show his raider prowess here. Holy trying to get this around. Nice pullback on that weakened wolf there. And it's going to be a tough hold, but we'll see if Holy is up to the task. Also did go for a house. So I think really it's really difficult, right? You're not going to be able to take a natural base anytime soon because you're going to be too busy defending. And it's going to be really difficult. Good surround here out of Holy. Needs to attack. Yep, there we go. Does trap a raider, but it is going to flash away. And so far, Consciously Eating's raider micro has not been sublime. It's been okay, maybe, but there's been more mistakes than actual things. Another raider gets trapped. That is going to be very okay, so that is a raider going down. This raider is almost dead as well. I would like to see him just chase that straight up. Maybe not with one wolf, though. That's going to be picked off immediately. And this is looking like it's going to be a pretty surprisingly easy hold, where it really shouldn't have been. We have a fortress on the way for Consciously Eating. Gonna go for some dragons, it looks like. And we have a workshop. That is a very interesting idea. I would not imagine, like, I wouldn't think workshop is the answer. Like, my mind would not go for a workshop here. He's probably going to use that for Gatling guns. Wolf Gat is, you know, the wolves do the tanking, Gats do the damage from the back line. Is, I guess, the idea he's going to go for, but yeah, this is going to be really interesting. This wolf this was the initial wolf that scouted the two racks, was still kept on the other side of the map. I'm going to come in and see that fortress. So that is an excellent scout for Holy. Very nice. And yeah, so just some poor micro out of Consciously Eating. Losing a raider to 2 wolves is not ideal. Looks like it's almost going to lose another one. Good flash away, but that's not going to be enough, it looks like. These wolves trying to get us around, doing their best to get straight on top of them. Needs to flash that raider away, is going to do so. But yeah, more or less, this is actually a very good hold. Another raider falls. Make that perhaps another. Needs to flash that away. There we go. There's another raider in the front lines. Ooh, gonna miss a flash, but that's okay. All these raiders do survive, which is very nice. This wolf is still on the other side of the map, and I think Holy is saying, I think I can take a base now. Yeah, there we go. We have a fortress on the way, though, for Consciously Eating. We'll see how that goes. Only a portion of his wolves are actually attacking, which means that these raiders will get a pretty good trade in the latter stages of the skirmish, but yeah, that was a bit of a mistake for Holy. I think he might have miscontrolled his units over. Like, I think he might have pressed here to bring them back, but they split off in 2 different ways or something like that. So definitely a mistake, and that means these raiders will eventually regenerate pretty well. Oh, I see what the idea was with that workshop. He's going to go for mill, so we're going to go try to get some gyros out on the field. I don't know if that's actually going to work with this dragon on the other side of the map. I'd say dragons in general are going to be a little bit better than these gyros. This Wolf of Holy has been excellent. Is going to see, is that in range? Yes, it is. Is going to see this castle timing. And yeah, I do have to say that it's a pretty even match so far. The raider micro obviously for Consciously Eating was not the greatest, but it was okay in the later stages, you know, saving all of those raiders. But it definitely didn't go as well as he would have liked. Holy has been able to establish his natural base, should continue to produce workers here. A little bit confused. Okay, there we go. And he's going to add on a second mill. So, and this is also very curious to me because Holy did scout this fortress, right? He went in, did see the fortress, and he knows that it is a fortress and decides, hey, my choice is going to be gyros. So that is a very interesting decision. If it was just going to go for advanced workshops, I'd say that makes sense. But going for you're basically saying, I'll fight you in the air with my gyros and I'll hopefully win. And that's a pretty tall task, especially because gyros are a lot more fragile. They do less damage. It's not easy for that sort of thing to happen. These raiders might come in and actually scout the Gatling gun, which would be a huge scout. These wolves and raiders going to pass each other in the middle of the map. Okay, a little bit of inattention from both players here. We have that first dragon now coming across the map. These two raiders are derping out a little bit. Okay, I'm not sure why. Probably because it's A moving, but I don't know. Anyways, these wolves coming in to try to do a little bit of counter damage, but I think this is not the best decision. If these wolves go down, that means the raiders don't have anything to deal with them. Yes, you might get a worker or two or something like that. At the same time, we have these raiders on the other side of the map doing a little bit of damage. And these wolves are going to get, it looks like maybe just one worker and then all die. That's obviously not a good trade. These raiders go into the main base and they're going to see these gyros. They're not going to escape, so I would have preferred for him to just try to take down as many workers as possible before leaving. Good split out of Holy here, trying to save half of his wolves here, but yeah, a little bit of an interesting situation. We have a Dragon's Lair versus 2 mills. So I guess if you have the double the amount of production, maybe your gyros are just going to win straight up. But generally, you'd say, oh yeah, dragons are better in the air versus air fight, especially when you just have that splash potential as well. You have more health, 320 to 140, no, 180. So that is a significant chunk of change, 140 health difference. And the damage is actually better for the dragons as well. Of course, if you do get all those upgrades, gyros do get +2 per upgrade, whereas dragons only get +1. So that is something to be aware of. And this is what I'm saying, where if you sacrifice all those wolves, yes, maybe you do a little bit of damage, but that means you don't have the wolves for defense against these raiders anymore. And these raiders, there's a handful of wolves here, but I don't think that will be quite enough. Additionally, there's nothing to really deal with the air units. We have a tower on the way over here, but I don't think that's going to be ready in time. These gyros fighting some dragons, and these gyros fighting some dragons on this side as well. Good repair and good fight over here, actually, for Holy. It looks like Consciously Eating didn't have the best Raider micro once again, and you really need to repair that gyrocraft, though. If you lose this gyrocraft, that's going to be huge, and that does go down. On the other side of the map, Holy did dive in to try to get some workers on the main base, but there's a tower there, and that's going to shut that down pretty easily. I would have preferred if he stayed over here after killing that dragon. There's another gyrocraft on the way, but there's actually 2, and with the repair, they should be able to eventually outlast these dragons. So I guess that is the one thing that dragons have against them, or at least gyros have for them, is the fact that they're able to actually get repaired. So if you are playing like a defensive fight, like in this case, you can have your workers repair those gyrocraft, and you might win a fight that you honestly shouldn't have been winning if they were, say, in the middle of the map without any worker support. So that's very interesting to note. We have Holy trying to pull. You got to pull back those gyros and bring them all the way back so that you repair them, though. You don't want to, keep them around and have them be sniped off. This watchtower is also done, so yeah, I'd just go back home and repair those up and come again another day. Let's take a look at what the worker situation is like. Holy being super ahead in the workers and also in the supply alike. So looking very good for Holy. Looks like he's going to gear up to take another base, which I think is a great idea. These gyros finding a little bit of free damage, picking off a soldier and another one. But looks like Consciously Eating is really trying to win that air battle, or at least not die to the air battle, at least. Get a advanced workshop along with an additional watchtower in both bases. Gonna cancel that one. Okay, fair enough. I don't think they're quite necessary. Okay, he's gonna reposition it, but I don't know if that's the great idea. Holy coming in with these gyros, but a lot of these gyros are a little bit weak. Good pullback out of Holy, bring those 2 of them back. Barely not going to lose that. I would definitely just bring them all the way back and repair them, though. They're a little bit too weak to be staying around, in my opinion. And I think Holy thinks that he's got the air superiority, and he's going to force Consciously Eating to go something other than dragons, right? I think that's the idea. But at the same time, I feel like Consciously Eating is actually going to commit to that air fight with this advanced workshop. Going to try to target down that gyrocraft. Well done. And yeah, like I said, you really don't want to be fighting with these gyros that are already battered and bruised, ready to fall apart. Good pullback though. Ooh, okay, very nice. But this sort of fight is not good because you're just forced to try to go into where Consciously Eating is. He walked a little bit too far, and he was targeting down the weakened dragons, but that did not end up working out very well. So I would have, I really think that Holy should have just brought all those gyrocraft back. He's going to try to chase down this another one, but you can see that splash damage out of the dragons coming into full effect here. Does get a single dragon, maybe get the second one, but good pullback out of Consciously Eating here. Yeah, so I really think that this could go so much better for Holy if he was just bringing all his gyros back, repairing them up instead of fighting like this. I do want to say though, good moves out of Consciously Eating to target down the weakened Gyrocraft as he's doing right now, as well as pulling back some of the weakened dragons here. So far, if we look at the units lost, we've had 3 dragons to 9 Gyrocraft, and that is obviously a fight a trade that you don't want if you're Holy, and you want if you're Consciously Eating. Another Gyro is gonna fall at the end of that fight as well. So definitely Consciously Eating, getting right back into this. I do want to note, Holy was not building workers this entire time. He was at 18 previously. He's at 19 right now. So either I missed a whole bunch of workers dying, which I don't think I did, or he just wasn't building workers. And that's obviously not good. He's going to start repairing these gyros up right now, but he definitely could have done that a little bit earlier. He's going to go for that advanced workshop as well, but this is also delayed in comparison to Consciously Eating's own advanced workshop and ballista production. It's going to probably get 1 or 2 of these dragons for free, though. That's going to be very nice. Going to target that one down very nice. You want to pull the weakened Gyrocraft back, perhaps? Nope, just going to chase, and that's going to be a little bit risky, but it looks like it's going to barely work out. Gyros are a little bit faster than the dragons. Decides to turn around and try to attack this dragon. Wants to pull that back, but a little bit too late for that. And Consciously Eating is actually getting some, he's surviving, living on the edge of danger, pulling these dragons back pretty well. Holy gonna fight with these Gyrocraft, but and is able to get one of the dragons here, but yeah. So Holy does have an economic advantage, but it's not as good as it could have been if he was constantly producing workers. So that's definitely something that he could have done a little bit of a better job of doing. I like that he has these units here. He used to have some units here to take a look at that other base, but doesn't have that at the moment. You don't want to be fighting into these towers, though. That's going to be a huge mistake if... yeah, okay. Runs away very nice. But yeah, gyros are a little bit faster, so they will be able to run away from these dragons unless you miscontrol them like Holy is doing them right now. I think Consciously Eating could definitely fight that. You want to target down the weakened ones. Does not quite get it, and they're going to live to see another day. Holy's scouting around the map, looking to see if there's anything a little bit crazy, but nothing truly crazy is going on other than the fact that he just doesn't have a third base. So Holy's like, oh, why don't you have a third base? I need to be really safe. And just being aware of it, but he's just ahead, essentially. Cautiously going to go for that third base right now. That's going to be definitely a lot later than his opponents. We do have these soldiers, though. I'm not sure what the purpose of these soldiers are going to be. I guess it's to deal with the wolves, but you haven't seen too many wolves, right? You've seen mostly just these gyros, and I'd say maybe if you are going to go for these ballista, maybe just going straight up into anti-air would have been a little bit better. So maybe just going into archers, perhaps? I don't know. We do have a smattering of some catapults here, as well as a single Gatling gun and some wolves, so... Do want to be careful about friendly fire, as yeah, that's going to be a lot of friendly fire. The soldier is going to come in. Some soldiers on the top side, but there's a tower and a whole bunch of gyros here, so I don't think they'll get too much damage. I think this should be a fairly easy hold for Holy. Holy did go for a airship first rather than a ballista, so that's something that is a little bit unusual. Generally, you want to go for the ballista first, unless you're going to use that airship, of course, but Holy not going to be using that airship at the moment. Some good movement out of Consciously Eating to do a little bit of friendly fire, but we have a fight, air versus air fight at the moment, and it's looking pretty good for Holy, but here comes the ballista, and these Big Daddy Ballista are going to do a whole bunch of fire splash damage. That is that's gonna force these gyros to run away from that fight, or fly away, I guess. This soldier did make its way into the main base, or the main base of Holy is gonna be taken care of by those workers, and he's also mined out. Consciously Eating almost mined out as well. 520 gold left there. But yeah, it's really these... Ooh, that's a missed move command here out of Holy. That's a big mistake here. You really don't want to be fighting into these ballista with those gyros, so you do want to avoid them as much as possible. Ooh, losing this would be absolutely huge, though. Is able to drop in the last second and gets a huge shot off. That's going to reduce the gyro count down to 2, down to 1 now. And looks like the air is just going to go back to Consciously Eating. Air control, at least. He's also taken a 4th base at the same time. Holy does so as well. But yeah, it looks like the airs for both players has basically been completely like nullified once again. And we're just going to go for a bit of a ground attack, it looks like. We have additional racks coming up for consciously eating. And but what does he have against this sort of army here? Some catapults, some wolves. He does have a good, I guess, 5 soldiers along with a tower should be enough to defend, especially if Holy is not paying attention. That's going to be pretty big. These dragons in the main base are going to be taken care of. A couple of kills there, but nothing too major in my opinion. Did get some good AoE here, but yeah, with these soldiers, looks like Holy's frontal attack is going to get stopped, and that's good news for consciously eating. What is Holy going to transition into then? He doesn't have enough production structures, I feel like. I guess he's going to go back into gyros, yeah. So he's going to try to reclaim that air superiority. I think he also forgot about these wolves here. That would be definitely a bit of a mistake. Now he's going to remember them now and going to pull them to the front line, but these soldiers are doing pretty well so far. Going to try to target down that Gatling gun. Does do so. This dragon versus a single gyro here. So yeah, we've settled into a bit of a macro game from here. And, you know, we'll see how things continue on from here. It really is a shame that both players lost all of their air units, because if you keep those air units alive, you have so much potential, you have so much mobility, but just losing all of it and things going back to the Stone Age essentially does make things a little bit difficult. Holy gonna try to go for a cata drop. Ooh, these dragons might be able to intercept that, and that's gonna be very huge. I don't know how he saw that. I don't think he saw it at all, but oh, okay, there we go. Consciously Eating is paying attention and is gonna chase it down. So that is a pretty big pick-off if Consciously Eating does get it. Holy is probably going to be forced to just drop and try to get as much damage as possible. And yeah, it's just really unfortunate. A good pick-off for Consciously Eating. Holy wants to Q-fire onto the workers, not the tower. Is not going to be able to do so in time. Does get one at the end, but that's not getting any damage whatsoever. The airship falls, and this attack was... this cata drop was a disaster. We have some 5 soldiers over here. We have some soldiers going here for a little bit of a harassment run by. At the same time, some gyros on this side of the map going to try to target down some workers. There are 1.5 towers though, so that's going to be tough. Doesn't need to repair this tower. There we go. Okay, he's just going to fight with him. Okay, he's going to repair that. That's very nice. So we have a bit of assaults on both sides of the map onto their respective 4th bases. It does need to repair these gyrocraft though. Otherwise, he's going to lose a lot of that anti-air against these dragons. Is going to force it back. Good hold position out of Consciously Eating with those workers. Does need to repair these towers, though. I like that he has shift queued all of these gyrocraft with the towers, which is very nice. Yeah. Okay, and this is going to get stopped with the addition of these dragons and more gyros going down, more walls going down. Pretty good hold on both sides. But we do have 5 more soldiers coming in, but with these gyros, I think that won't be able to do too much damage, along with the worker pull. So good defense on both sides, and we're just going to continue on from here. However, we do have more dragons on the way. This airship ballista is going to be able to deal with it pretty handily if it comes on the way. Good target fire out of Consciously Eating. Going to try to target down a gyro. Needs to pull that back if you're Holy. Is just going to never mind and just A-move them and try to take down this dragon at the same time. Consciously looking to take another base, it looks like, in the bottom right-hand side of the map. And there's that splash damage with the dragons coming into full effect. He Holy forgot his airship ballista, which means that these dragons are going to take a really good fight. Definitely not the best fight for Holy here. These soldiers are eventually cleaned up. Holy taking the base in the top right, or top left. Looks like Consciously Eating going to try to do the same in the bottom right-hand side. You can see that these players are very evenly matched. You know, similar play styles. We've got some skirmishes, but, you know, it's been going pretty even so far. So I think it's really interesting that both players are kind of doing like a hybrid style of I want to play on the ground and also in the air. Because a lot of the times people will be like, I just want to, you know, go for 5 million dragons and win the air outright, sort of thing. Or, okay, you know, you're going for air, so I'll just go for ballista for my anti-air, and then everything else I'll just, you know, play ground. Or, you know, so I think both players going for a bit of a hybrid situation is very interesting to me. Yeah, and it's also like a mirror image sort of hybrid as well. So we got the wolf ground army with mech, and here you have like the racks with the beast army in the air. So that's very interesting. All right, we have another cata drop. Interesting. These gyros are going to take care of this one soldier that's being a little bit annoying. A little bit out of position for to defend this though. We do want to see Holy have a little bit of a more active army, I'd say. His army is pretty passive at the moment. As you can see, Consciously Eating is being a lot more aggressive throughout the game, especially, right? Went for that 2 racks early on and everything. Whereas Holy is going to go for a bit of a more defensive sort of playstyle. He's going to lose a handful of gyros here to those dragons, so definitely a good fight for Consciously Eating here. These soldiers are going to fight the wolves here, and with these additional ballista, I think these dragons are going to have to leave. Holy going to transition into some more mech, but Consciously Eating has the same idea and did it a little bit quicker too, so you can see that sort of, I guess, familiarity and similar playstyles coming into effect here. These dragons doing quite a bit of damage, but that's airship gonna come in with the cavalry. Ooh, looks like... Okay, no, I thought he accidentally Q-fired, did the explosive shot on his own units, but I think that was this ballista here for Consciously Eating. He is gonna hold on. Holy is gonna hold on to this 4th base, but his 5th base has been denied, whereas Consciously Eating was able to get that up successfully, more or less for free. So this is that sort of playstyle where being aggressive leads to, you know, you setting the tempo, and it's a lot harder to be defensive than it is to be offensive, right? So that's why cheeses work against players. And yeah, Holy's having a little bit of difficulty actually just dealing with all these soldiers coming in. He did lose all of those ballista, so not ballista, those gyros, so we don't have really that infinite free damage. I mean, you have a few of them, but that's not going to be enough. Yeah, he's going to have to play this with all these wolves, and there's not exactly a ton of them. I do want to say that he didn't really build any more wolves then, so he really doesn't have that production as he would have liked. He does need to use these workshops as well. Also would like to see a bit more Gatling guns, Consciously adding in a bit more production as well. And this sort of continual attack shouldn't be working in my opinion, but it somehow is. If Holy forced to pull his workers away, this castle did finish, but no workers, not going to be able to mine from there, and just the constant stream of soldiers, which is just doing too much damage. It's doing way more damage than it really should. I think a big part of this is because Holy went for these catapults. And these catapults, you know, they're good if they can shoot at the units, but if there's soldiers on top of those catapults, the catapults can't do anything. They're just kind of dead. They're just dead weight. And yeah, this is just and also losing all those gyrocraft also means that there's nothing really to deal with all these soldiers at the same time. Consciously Eating gonna go take another base. I believe that's his 6th base. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. And yeah, he's just running away with the constant aggression here. Holy also is floating a lot of money. Could definitely be using this a little bit better, but is not doing so at the moment. And I think this parade push of Consciously Eating is gonna seal the deal here. Yeah, I really think that this could have been handled a lot easier by Holy. Like losing all those gyros at the top side of the map to that splash damage was pretty big, and also just not going for just went for too many catapults, especially yeah, and just maybe not enough wolves, maybe not enough Gatling guns. These catapults have a big potential to do some Q firing, but not going to be able to do that. It's just going to fire onto the tower, and that means that these additional bases for Holy are going to go down, whereas Consciously Eating is untouched on his side of the map. So I think maybe Holy might be able to just barely hold on, He's also not producing very well, despite having 1.2k in the bank. So a little bit of that, I guess, nerves potentially, or feeling this game slip away. You know, it's definitely heartbreaking. And yeah, I think this might be the beginning of the end. Maybe not the beginning of the end. I think this might be the end of the end, potentially. These Bliss are trying to do their best to get rid of those dragons, but that's going to be too much. Holy GG is out. Consciously Eating, taking the victory. And we'll be going to game. Not to game, sorry. We're going to be going to the groups and take a look at what it's like at the moment. So we're going to have MrWinter versus Consciously Eating in the winner's match. And Joshers is going to face off against Holy in the loser's match. So we'll see how that goes. First, let's take a look at the winner's match. It's going to be MrWinter versus Consciously Eating, and hopefully it's going to be a banger. We don't have, or I don't have the bans for this, unfortunately, the pick bans, but that's okay. We'll just hop straight into it. The map is going to be, here we go, it's going to be Ravaged, and let's see what's going to happen as we load into the game. In the top left-hand side, the terror from Beta League, it is MrWinter. And in the bottom right hand side of the map, having not built a worker and sending a worker across the map, it's Consciously Eating. So something cheesy on the menu. What sort of Gouda, what sort of cheddar has Consciously Eating prepared? We have this worker going across the map. I don't know, we'll see what's going on. We do have that early house. Did cut a worker for that. And it's going to be a 7 house. And probably, if I know Consciously Eating, it's probably going to be some sort of werewolf cheese, honestly. That's just his bread and butter. At the same time, MrWinter also doing a little bit of cheeky, is going to send his worker across the map. This looks like to be the same build that he used against Joshers in that game on Xenos. To do, looks like a proxy den into another proxy den for a 2 den, or a proxy den into another den at home for a 2 den. No, he did. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, no, he just went for 1 den and then followed up with the proxy den still on the other side of the map with the same worker. So that might be what's going to happen. We'll have to find out. Consciously Eating also going for a den on the other side of the map, and it's going to be a little bit of a cheese fest. I wonder what your favorite cheese is. I really like that sort of feta or blue cheese. I don't know what you guys like. It just has that depth of flavor. But yeah, looking at the circumstances here, Consciously Eating not going to go for an additional worker. So this is almost 100% going to be that werewolf's den. There we go. Whereas MrWinter is still floating a bit of cash. So this is something that I kind of don't think is the best. If you are going to go for like a cheese, right? I'd say you probably, if you are going to go for like a 2 den, you generally want to bring 2 workers, right? This makes it so that your second worker is, your second den is so delayed. I guess he wants to get that scout and see what's going on. This is also a bad watchtower placement here out of Consciously Eating. You don't want this to be exposed here. You want to put it perhaps as close as possible to your mineral line, right? So house here. Oh, did that worker see the worker coming back? That would be huge. It's gonna, yeah, okay. Is gonna see that, and that should tip MrWinter off that there is a proxy. And indeed, that's what MrWinter is gonna do. He's gonna go across the map and try to find that proxy. And I think that's a great idea. You see the tower and you know, okay, I'm not going to be able to do too much damage, and instead he's just going to go around and try to find out what's up. I think that's a great idea, but yeah, once again, this tower placement is not it. If you want to, you probably want to put you want to reduce the amount of surface area that there is on the tower, and also at the same time, you want to have it close enough so that you can repair hold position with your workers, so not the best tower placement. MrWinter scouting around with these wolves. I feel like he could have scouted them a little bit better. He's kind of have his wolves at the same time. He's going to spot this werewolf's den not immediately, but like within reasonable time. I think he can I don't think he can actually get it. I think it's a little bit too late before the first werewolf pops. especially because this is just one den. He doesn't have infinite wolves. Well, not infinite wolves. He doesn't have that huge number of wolves that he normally would have if this was a 2 den. It's going to go for another wolves den. That is not the correct call, in my opinion. You do not want to be going for that. You want to put down a tower. You want to put down something that can deal with the werewolves. Maybe go for Gatling guns or something like that. Going to go for additional werewolves den, and that is not the play. That is just not the play at all. This werewolf is going to be Big Daddy Werewolf here. Gonna take less damage. It's only gonna take essentially half the damage, not quite, but the armor of 4 against the damage of 10 means that it's gonna do 6 damage per shot. And you cannot be fighting this as Mr. Winter. You cannot be fighting this. No. You're just taking too much damage. This really shows the inexperience that Mr. Winter has against this sort of build. This sort of werewolf build is only recently coming to the meta because of that change where you don't need the fortress anymore to go for werewolves, and that is a huge change where and also the smash came back, so this is really showing the inexperience here. Mr. Winter does need to do that. This is just absolutely horrendous here. Just not knowing what to do. This is a good worker placement good location for the werewolf, because it limits that the surface area. Huge smash, absolutely huge. It limits the surface area that the units can have, and also not fighting with the workers too. This is gonna be absolutely this is just it. Another smash comes up, putting all these workers down to 40 HP, excuse me, and that's going to be it. Mr. Winter not knowing what to do, and GG is called. Yeah, so this is just one of those things where if you're inexperienced, you just don't know what to do, and that's going to bite Mr. Winter in the back or in the butt. I don't know, whatever you want to say. And that means the first player in Group B to advance to the Alpha League is going to be Consciously Eating. Very nice. With some nice spicy cheese against Mr. Winter, which obviously is a good decision if you know your opponent isn't exactly too well versed in the recent metagame and might not know how to deal with this sort of attack. Good planning, I'd say. All right, let's head into the Alpha League to see who Consciously Eating will be playing against. And as you can see, he will be playing against Matthew N in the quarterfinals. So that's going to be a pretty interesting matchup. It's going to be a best of 5, like all of the quarterfinals. That's going to happen. That's going to be a really interesting match. I would say definitely Matthew N does have a bit of a bigger advantage, especially in a longer series. Best of 3 isn't exactly the longest series, but there's only so many cheeses that you can do, is what I'm saying. All right, losers match. It's going to be Joshers versus Holy, and we'll see how that goes. Both of these players, I think, could potentially take it. On paper, I think Joshers is slightly favored, but we'll find out what happens. Gonna head into the game right now. It's gonna be on Silent Fjord, and spawning in the bottom left hand side of the map with a first worker scout or a proxy, probably. It's Holy. I wonder if this is gonna be the same build that Consciously Eating did, but we'll find out. On the top right hand side of the map, it's gonna be Joshers. All right. So 7 house for Holy. Something aggressive. What is it going to be? I don't know. If I had to guess, it's going to be a... Ooh, Consciously Eating is in the game as well. If I had to guess, I think it's going to be a 2-den, because that's kind of the vibe that Holy goes for. Josh is going to do, a standard house timing. And we'll see what happens. Den, yep, okay. Oh, okay. He was just repositioning his worker. I was a little bit confused there for a split second. Is he going to go for a second? No, okay. He's just going to go for, looks like, the DC build again. The build that he went against Consciously Eating on the same map. So maybe Joshers might know it. I don't know. We'll see. If he took a look at the replay, he might know of it. Joshers going to go for a racks of his own, and probably gonna go for that Raider expand. We will see. So unlike that game against Consciously Eating, looks like it's just going to be a 1 Rax. So going to have a little bit of an easier time in the early game. Not that he actually needed it, because he did pretty well micro-wise in that early game, defending that the 2 Rax Raider very well, especially with the 1 den, and it really surprised me. He did go for that 2nd den eventually later on in the main base, but yeah, it was a good defense either way. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Josh is going to go for that Raider, very standard, and Holy is going to go for that Destroy Call build. Okay, interesting. I want to say stylistically, Holy being that player who is a bit more defensive, as you saw in that previous game, might match up a little bit better against Josh's. Josh's is also pretty aggressive, but not as aggressive as like Consciously Eating, in my opinion. So that might turn into a little bit of his favor. This wolf gonna come in, get the scout off. I wouldn't mind actually just popping right into the main to see if there's a 2nd Rax, but he's just gonna be content with scouting that 1st Rax and gonna just go home. Josh is going to be very passive. Okay, he's going to go for a 2nd Rax. Interesting. Is this reactionary? I think it is. I think he thinks that it might be a 2 den, and that's when he needs a Rax, but I don't know. Maybe I'm reading a little bit too much into this. I think Josh is also a bit of a missed opportunity. He should have been a little bit more aggressive with that 1st Raider, instead playing pretty passive and just scouting around. So that also gives a lot of time for Holy just to get this natural base on the other side of the map. Is going to come in. Ooh, queued up an archer. Interesting. Could definitely be fighting this. Okay, gonna try to get out. I guess it's because he saw that he doesn't see the 2nd Raider and you don't know where it's coming from, so I don't mind that decision. Josh is gonna come in with a flank with that 2nd Raider. Did not target the right wolf, unfortunately, but yeah, he's gonna push these wolves away. And I'd say Holy got the better end. It forced his opponent to build another Rax, which is something you definitely don't want to do if you're just going to go, ooh, unless, okay. I don't mind this either, though. Not consciously, excuse me. Josh is going to try to make the best of that sort of situation. Looks like he wants to do some sort of an archer or a raider drop. And we'll see how much damage that is able to do. Holy going to go for that workshop as he did in the previous game. Perhaps he's going to do the same build where he goes into mills. We'll have to find out. I feel like this raider drop, if it is going to be a raider drop, is going to arrive way... Yeah, it's going to arrive way earlier than the first gyros will come out. So there's going to be a big period, I'd say probably around maybe a minute, where these raiders will have essentially... Ooh, I don't like this, though. Okay, going to pull them back nice. Where the raiders will essentially have free reign over all the wolves, and they're just going to be able to do as much damage as they want, uncontested in the air. So, but at the same time, that does mean Josh is going to be very, very delayed in his 2nd base, natural base timing. Holy also, I would prefer to see him, split off a wolf here or there, and just to scout that natural base timing. It's really hard, especially when you're under a little bit of pressure, but that's something that Holy could definitely done, but not going to be doing that at the moment. These fights are going to be looking pretty good for the raider player. Generally, you want to play with your wolves in your mineral line so that you can actually use your workers to also get that surround. So by fighting up here, that means that the raiders will take much better fights than they need to. So a bit of a misplay from Holy here for sure. It looks like Holy, instead of going for those mills, is going to try to do some cata drops eventually. And once again, this micro for Holy, he's doing some good pullback micro, but he's not fighting where he needs to be fighting. He needs to be fighting with these with the workers, and he needs to keep essentially his wolves like here-ish, right? And then with the workers, you need to like right-click on a mineral, on a gold mine, and try to get this around. If you do this sort of thing, the raiders just get infinite value. So not going to be the best. Raider, okay, not raiders. It's going to be soldiers and a single archer being loaded up into this drop, and going to go across the map to try to do some damage. Here's that natural base. It's significantly delayed for Joshers, but I don't think that's going to be a big concern, especially if this sort of these raiders continue to get a whole bunch of damage. And even if all these raiders do go down, let's say these raiders and these wolves trade out, there's just more army coming, and Holy doesn't have anything to do with it. And once again, these fights are absolutely horrendous for Holy because he's not fighting with the workers. These workers need to be a part of this, or else, yeah, he's doing it now, but that's a little bit too late. That's after all of his raiders have gone down. Josh is going to drop on top of all of these catapults as well, which means that these catapults are going to basically die for free. We're not going to be able to link up with that. Actually, he needs to use his airship to defend this. Pick up those catapults, but not going to be able to do that right now. There's one of those catapults going down. The second one is going to fall as well, and I think this is just going to be it. Holy not knowing how to defend with the raider pressure with the wolves, not using his workers to defend it, and I think that's going to be just about it. Needs to pick up that airship or that catapult with the airship, not going to be able to do so, and that means a catapult falling down, and Holy doesn't have anything. Holy was in a very good situation. That first fight was very, across the map. It was very nice. He forced his opponent to get a really big delay onto the natural base. But just some bad micro with the wolf versus raiders, and that means it's basically over. This Gatling gun needs to pick up. No, unfortunately, not going to be able to do so. And it's just a single wolf and some some workers for Holy here. Not going to be able to do enough damage here to quell the attack of Joshers here. And especially with that airship, that represents so much micro potential as well. So I think this is going to be it for Holy. Unfortunately, I think this might be it. It does get that archer, which is very nice. These raiders are going to drop again. I'm going to try to target down some workers, it looks like. I think he could have just A-moved there and just attacked the wolves, but yeah, the constant stream of soldiers is going to come across the map, and I think that might be it. He even has a ballista here to deal with the catapult drop, which is not going to happen because there are no catapults to drop. And I think that's it. Really unfortunate for Holy here. Definitely had a really good fight against Consciously Eating. I think he was ahead in some aspects, and in this game he definitely had the tools to deal with this, but is going to be eliminated, unfortunately. GG is called. I guess not eliminated, but he will be heading to the Beta League. So let's take a look at what the situation is. There you go. There's Group B in all its glory, and that means Holy is heading to the Beta League. Is going to play against Stevenator, so that is going to be a very interesting matchup. Yeah, we'll see how that one shapes up to be. I'd say it's going to be a pretty even match, I think, especially if it goes a little bit later. I feel like Holy has a little bit of difficulty playing, he likes playing defensively, but he's not, I feel like he's been falling apart a little bit defensively. But Stevenator is also not exactly the most aggressive player, so I feel like we're going to get some drawn-out macro games potentially in that quarterfinals match. But yeah, that brings us to the final match. It's going to be MrWinter versus Joshers09, and we'll see how that goes, and we will determine who goes to the Alpha League and who goes to the Beta League. Where's the match? Here it is. All right, let's hop into it. It's going to be on Xenos. In the bottom left-hand side of the map, it's Joshers09. And in the top right-hand side of the map, perhaps he gets a seasonal boost. It's MrWinter. Maybe he just gets a boost of being cold or something. Like when he's cold, his fingers work faster or something like that. I don't know. Maybe. Anyways, we have this worker going across the map. Contrary to the first time he played on this map, instead of going in that top side, it is going to go through the middle. So that's a little bit interesting for sure. Somehow Consciously Eating is in this game as well. He's basically in every game. Oh my goodness. MrWinter bringing a second worker as well. So this looks to be a classic 2 then, if I'm not mistaken. But it is going to be straight out the middle, so can be potentially seen very quickly if he proxies in not the best location, or if Josh does go for a bit of a scout early on either. Interesting. There's that Wolves Den number 1. Josh is probably going to go for that Rax, if I had to guess. Yep, there we go. And here's Wolves Den number 2, question mark? Or is that just going to be a scout? He's going to go in and just do a little bit of the scouting. That's going to be really interesting. I'm going to probably try to deny. Okay, this is very suspicious. I think... is he going to try to tower here? You can't do that because the house is blocking it, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, you could do it like that. Very nice, very cute. As Josh, you can just bring a tower on the top, on the high ground. That's it. It's what is he going to do? Has he never seen this before? There's no way, right? Okay, he is going to tower on the high ground, it looks like, from the gold situation, but this is very delayed. This could have been up so long ago. Not so long ago, but like a significant time long ago. So definitely a mistake. Also needs to get his first raider out. No, he's going to go for a second tower. That is a mistake. You do not want to... this is not good. You do not want to do this in lieu of the raider, though. So a little bit of cheese coming out of MrWinter here. And this tower is going to finish significantly faster. It can target down these workers if he has the vision, I think, because this is in range. Is going to target down, looks like, the buildings instead. So that's obviously not what you want to do. He's going to try to target down that worker. That goes down pretty low, but it's so far so good. Does need to bring more workers, though. I feel like Joshers isn't expecting this as much as he should. He's only bringing a handful of workers. A little bit of chaos, crisis management not going the way of Joshers right now. Needs to repair that as well, because this tower is wailing on it right now. Did go for a soldier, so that soldier might be able to DPS down the tower a little bit and, you know, be a little bit defensive. I don't mind the soldier decision here because you are going to be forced to play a little bit defensively. And this tower is, you know, going up. It has completed. This other tower has also completed. And I think with both of these towers going up, he needs to repair that, though. This rush has basically been held. It wasn't clean. It could have been so much cleaner for sure if he had reacted with that first watchtower a little bit quicker. If he had built that first unit out of the racks a little bit quicker as well. But it is a hold, and a hold is a hold. So I would say Josh's is slightly ahead, but he could be so far ahead instead of being just slightly ahead. And then here comes that thing where the soldiers don't do as well. He's going to try to target down that one wolf, and not able to do so. So some good wolf micro here out of MrWinter, but yeah, I think this was just not the best hold out of Josh's here. He's going to queue up Raider as his 4th unit. But yeah, yeah, I feel like both of these players don't have that much experience, or at least Josh's doesn't have that much experience defending this sort of cheese, it looks like, at least. From MrWinter's side, I mean, he executed it, you know, more or less the best he could have, I think. He had some good wolf micro. He used some good building placements here for that tower, but yeah, not bad. Don't want to chase too far, though, because of those towers. And there's that first raider adding in so much DPS. Don't want to go up that ramp as MrWinter here. You just probably want to just expand. You don't want to say, oh my goodness, Holy is in this as well. You don't want to say that. Oh my goodness. That is not good. This is why generally you don't want specs in this sort of what's it called? This sort of a tournament match. It's, yeah. MrWinter gonna go for a natural base. I do like that. And this is I guess the detriment of soldiers. Soldiers don't regenerate health, unlike these raiders or these wolves, so they're just going to be an inferior unit in the early game. I think it was all right going for that first soldier just to defend this and anchor it down. Maybe the second soldier as well, but after that, you just don't want that in the early game, in my opinion. And Josh's is forced to play a one-base build. This 2 racks, and is also supply block right now, which is going to be absolutely huge. And this is so much damage coming out of just a single den, actually. So some good, very good wolf micro out of MrWinter, doing a very good job of that. Almost gets that soldier, but not quite able to do so. And we've got to see what MrWinter transitions into. Because I feel like one den is not going to be enough eventually. Ooh, that's an aggressive flash. I don't think that's going to work out very well for Josh's, but he is able to squirm away. That could have been potentially dangerous. That was very risky, but ends up paying off, so very nice. Does lose another wolf, though, this MrWinter. So that does end up paying off for Josh's here. This house being very delayed means it feels like Josh's has been supply blocked very, very, like, I'd say for the past 3 minutes, but it actually hasn't, but you know, it does feel like it. Is gonna get a wolf there. Yeah, MrWinter needs to go for some other sort of transition. He needs to put down like a wolf's den or something. He needs to transfer his workers over as well, but not gonna be able to do that. Looks like Josh is gearing up to take their natural base. MrWinter going for a animal testing lab, as he did in the previous game against. So that's just something to be aware of. And this wolf's den being so close looks like it's going to be able to be taken down pretty quickly. So that is going to bring MrWinter down in production to just 0 production structures, 2 of them coming up at the moment. So Joshers could theoretically just walk across the map and potentially win, I think. With some good micro, he doesn't have it that much. But he's going to be playing a little bit defensively. Also, he doesn't know that MrWinter does have that natural base. So that is something to be aware of. MrWinter also not doing the best building placement. Like these dens are just being placed wherever, more or less. Like there's no real like thought to it, in my opinion. So I guess this one is kind of good, but maybe if you might want to block this up just against raiders, or you might want to hide your animal testing labs so that, and your snake charmers, that they're not at the front of the base, so that, you know, it's a little bit harder for your opponent to figure out what you're doing, that sort of thing. But looks like we're going to settle into a bit of a macro game. +1 attack coming up for MrWinter, as you generally do if you're going for Wolf Snake. And Josh is playing very, very passive, and this is not what you want to do. You want to use your raiders. You want to use that mobility, that map control that they bring to do a little bit of scouting. You know, check in to see, hey, what are you up to? Is there something like a fast third? Is there upgrades? Is there like dragon tech or something? That's something that Josh is just lacking for sure. Went for this third Rax as well. Honestly, that might be because of the third den comment out of Holy. Yeah, definitely don't want that sort of thing to influence the game, but alas, MrWinter looking to take a third base. These players playing very, very passive at the moment. This is very not ideal. Like, even if you are like either of these players, you want to be, you know, have your units on the other side of the map just to get that extra information, right? Like as MrWinter, like have a wolf here, have a wolf here, have a wolf here to check out the third base. Yeah, he's doing it right now, so that's very nice. But yeah, Josh's is also should have done that with his raiders. He's just gonna go for a straight up push up down the middle, looks like, and that is gonna. I think the +1 will finish by the time that this attack arrives, so a little bit of an anti-timing, perhaps. MrWinter did start his third base, and yeah, we'll see how this attack pans out. I think this attack does have potential. The raiders, generally, you want to keep them alive, don't want to get them surrounded. Good flash onto the snake's actually going to do a whole bunch of damage. Going to pick off one of them for free, trying to get the additional ones as well. So this is a great start to the fight from Josh's here. And MrWinter is going to be in a world of trouble, in my opinion. He needs to continue fighting with those soldiers in the back, though. Yeah, okay, so does he bring those soldiers front? Did lose a raider? I don't think he needed to lose that raider. Ooh, okay, there we go. Bring those archers in. And this is looking like it's going to be a very tough hold for MrWinter. Needs to pull his workers for sure. There they go. But I think that might even just not be enough. Additional soldiers coming, some wolves coming. Those were the scouting wolves. Looks like he might be able to hold. I feel like those units at the front weren't fighting very well. They were kind of trying to go around to attack because of the workers. And these archers weren't kiting back as perfectly as they would have liked. So this is actually going to be a bit of a hold. That +1 attack coming into very, very handily in this fight as well, adding in a whole bunch of DPS to these wolves and snakes. I think without that +1, actually, this game might be completely over. But yeah, seems like things are looking pretty good for MrWinter, having held this 2 base assault, more or less. Yes, there's just a couple of stragglers. Josh is trying to try to target down that one snake, but not able to do so. And yeah, I do want to criticize that the micro wasn't the best on both sides, but it does end up going in the favor of MrWinter. Nice. The castle not coming up, completely finished for MrWinter, and he's in an excellent spot. Josh looks like he's going to go for another base at the same time, going for a forge too. Okay, never mind, not going to go for a base. Okay, so this is really interesting to me because a forge screams to me, oh, I want to play a longer game, but not going to go for a third base, instead continuing to build units is also really weird. Because generally, if you're going to go for a forge, that kind of, you want to play a longer game, right? But just continue to produce out of 3 racks is more like, I want to end the game right now sort of play. So a little bit of mismatch in strategy in my opinion. Additional wolves then coming down for MrWinter, going up to a total of 5, which is very nice. Good worker transfer here, transferring his unit or his workers over to that third base. F, I don't know what F is for. Did he lose something? Oh, what? I'm confused. Were all these workers that hurt? I think they were actually from the fight, but I don't know what that F is. I don't know. I do like that these wolves are going back to their respective spots, scanning for the third base. Very nice. I also like this wolf over here. One thing you could do is you can put a wolf on this high ground, and you can see straight up to the middle. So nothing will get by you. But you can also do it here, I guess. But you lose the wolf, so not ideal. And now MrWinter does have an idea that this push is coming. I feel like MrWinter, you could theoretically be breaking down these forges and go for a surround like here on the low ground, but instead it's going to set it up on the high ground here, which I don't mind either. Josh is just going to come straight in. This +1 attack not even close to done, so it's going to be definitely an anti-timing. Taking a 4th base is MrWinter, but I think even with that, he's going to have enough to deal with this. Good setup of a surround here. I love it, and this is going to be an excellent fight for MrWinter. Absolutely decimating this army, I'd say. With the upgrade advantage, the +2 already, and this attack upgrade is not going to be coming into play at all. And yeah, good surround, good setup. MrWinter absolutely smashing this fight, and I think absolutely smashing this game as well. Yeah, this is just it. Good pullback micro with MrWinter as well. Look at all these wolves that he's saving with the pullback. GG, well played is called. Josh is going to give up, and that means, ladies and gentlemen, that Group B has ended, and it's looking like this. MrWinter and Consciously Eating going to be our 2 winners of the map, or the group. Gonna head into Alpha League, whereas Joshers and Holy, unfortunately, will be playing in the Beta League. In the Alpha League, we have Consciously Eating versus Matthew N, as I said, and Hydra versus MrWinter. So it's gonna be some banger matches for sure. And in the Beta League, we've got Steven Eater versus Holy, like I said, and it's gonna be Josh's09 versus El Barto. Cool. I hope you all had some fun. It definitely was pretty nice. And yeah, thanks for joining. Hope to see you in some additional games in the future as well. And yeah, thank you very much.